Francis on the ground in Brazil, where he looms as a potent political force, both for unifying the Catholic Church and for criticism of leaders in Latin America who just don't see things his way. WSJ's John Lyons joins lunch break from Rio de Janeiro with an update on the Pope's trip. John, thanks for being with us. Now, a Pope's visit, it always sparks attention from any country's political elite, but expectations around this particular visit from the Pope are more heightened than ever. Why is that?
Well, I mean, I think, first of all, he is the world's first Latin American Pope. He was born in Argentina, the next door neighbor to Brazil, and he's really his trip to Brazil is his first overseas trip as Pope, and the people here are treating it as kind of the homecoming of a local hero. He is kind of one of the few voices that there are in Latin America that kind of speak across borders, and he's really gotten kind of a pop star type welcome here when he came in his Pope Mobile, which he has dispensed with the bulletproof glass in order to get closer to the people. He was kind of mobbed. There was a couple scenes where actually at one point the vehicle couldn't go, couldn't proceed, and it was really a sharp contrast from the kind of dour visits from Benedict and in the past. And so it's really this kind of homecoming of the local hero and a guy who has really engendered a lot of hope that his kind of message of service to the poor and humility will kind of resonate in a region that is still very poor and has a huge gap between the rich and the poor.
John, you mentioned him traveling in that open vehicle. Of course, there were massive protests that shook Brazil in June. This had raised some concerns about the Pope's visit. Anything else that has befallen him and any adjustments they've had to make in his schedule because of security issues?
Yeah, well, it looks like for example, last night there was a protest kind of, it wasn't against him, it was, this dissatisfaction with the government and corruption. Some of the issues actually he talked about quite a bit back when he was Archbishop of Buenos Aires. But, for example, he, instead of taking the car out of a meeting with the president last night, he flew in a helicopter. I don't think this is what he envisioned. He seems to be a pope who wants the closest contact with people that he can. The government of Brazil has really stepped up security here in the city. There's police and some military all over the place. So, but I think it'll be hard to keep some of these groups that have been protesting since June from continuing to throw some small disturbances in his way.
John, very quickly, some leaders such as Argentina's president, Brazil's president, they're having to change their tune a bit when it comes to relations with this particular pope. As quickly as you can, explain what's happened there.
Well, a lot of the leftist leaders of the region have been at odds with the church, and suddenly you have a very popular pope who, is not the kind of guy you want as an opponent. He is a bit of a live wire. He likes to criticize things that he sees as wrong, and corruption, demagoguery, and hypocrisy were on his list when he was in Argentina. And I think the leaders of Latin America really they kind of stamped him with handle with care. Cristina turned around. She was a big opponent of his when he was Archbishop in Buenos Aires. And Nicolas Maduro, a critic of the church in Venezuela, went to see him and just to make sure that he's on the Pope's good side.
All right, John Lyons, he's reporting from Buenos Aires. He'll be there with the Pope following his movements this week. Thanks, John, for being with us.